that's the next part that I want to hear more from you, that how coaching influenced you. So probably start with Rita this time.
Sure.
So, and especially tonight's topic, ladies who coach. I'm wondering how or what do you see the challenges or advantages that as a female coach in coaching?
Yeah, great question. So the advantages, I think, of a female coach is that willingness to speak about feelings a little easier, to break into the emotional side, because so often we connect with people at a cerebral level. With coaching, we want to connect at our core. We want to be connected emotionally and empathetically. So I think that's one of the advantages that women have. I think one of the disadvantages is that we connect emotionally. And as a result, we run into this problem of the authenticity. We struggle sometimes swinging away from our authenticity to be a little harder when we're dealing with certain people, or to be a little too soft and not moving the client forward in their journey. So it's an important balance to have. If we have somebody who's in an emotional state, I think for women, we gravitate in that direction, but we have to keep our mind on, is this the right support for them right now? When do we draw the line on the level of empathy that is supportive empathy versus detrimental empathy? And the same on the other side. Are we probing too much, not enough? So I think for women, we get a little in our heads when we're worrying about being emotional. So yeah, I would say those are probably the disadvantages and the advantages.
Thank you. Thank you also for being honest with us. Yeah. So, okay, then I wonder about Alicia, how you see this and how probably coaching has already influenced or changed you in the past several years.
Well, I agree with everything that Rita said is true. I think one of the other things that we are also finding is that socially, a lot of times men are trained not to open up and get help as much, even on a basic level. So sometimes as a female coach, we have more female clients. It's easier that way. The struggle is to find a way that we can also reach male clients, if that's part of who we want to work with, to make them feel comfortable so that they can be vulnerable in that space, because coaching really relies on both people being equally vulnerable in that moment. For me, coaching has transformed everything. I think the two most transformative things you can do is take a path of entrepreneurship and a path of coaching. And the third is parenting. I'm not a parent, but I know that's another transformative thing. And I think you really have to go into yourself, because you have to show up authentically. You can't connect with somebody unless you have something that they can connect to. And that really means that you have to be solid in who you are, and you have to really be honest, I mean, painfully honest with who you are and all of your faults, because they will reflect back to you in your clients. They will reflect back to you in your conversations. They will reflect back to you in everything that you do in coaching. For me, this journey has really helped me to be a lot more self-aware. It has also helped me to stay a lot more compassionately detached from the situations, so that I can balance my emotions better when I'm having conversations. And it's also helped me to know when I should coach, when I should listen, and when I should shut up. Because when you go and you start as a coach, one of the things a lot of people do, for those of you who are doing this on this journey, you're going to want to coach everybody, even if they don't ask for it. So you have to be really careful. And in one of the books by Brene Brown, she says, with her friends, she says, before they have the talk, do you want me to be a listener, a cheerleader, or a coach? Those are the three, right? And I do that now sometimes. So that has really transformed a lot of my conversations with people because it gives a respectful boundary to the conversation before we start. And lastly, I think this also helps when you go on a journey of coaching, you are surrounded by people who are trying to improve themselves. The coaches, the coachees, the companies that you're working with. And that's a really beautiful place to be in. And it gives me hope. So I think that's probably the biggest takeaway from coaching is that I have hope that things will transform for the better.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm so grateful that you all are sharing so many personal experiences with us. And I actually would like to dig a little deeper to the challenging part. So that's why my next question to you, Kate.
Again, wrong chair.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, so this has always been a myth for me, like how can the coach make sure to empathize with customers? So yeah, probably there's something you cannot get it, right? So people are complicated with their complicated problems. And so have you ever met or heard of any difficult cases? Yeah.
Okay, still wrong chair. Yeah, actually, I do want to appreciate everything Rita and Alicia just shared. It's really, I can totally agree with everything. But your question makes me think about, first of all, I would not call them customers. How to empathize, I'm not going to call them customers.
Yeah.
But
Coachee, right?
yeah, actually, for me, that hasn't been such a big deal so far. Probably, like Rita said, women are very emotional, sometimes more than we should be. So more of the challenge would be there, like how not to be too empathetic, because maybe it's doing them a disservice. They are looking for something, and by being too empathetic, maybe we just drowning them down. But I have some situations when I struggle with certain types of clients, and then it's good that we don't have to coach everybody, right? And the coaching doesn't work like, okay, the client doesn't like you, so they can tell you, I don't want to work with you. It can go the other way around, right? So there was a situation when I had a client who was, I saw it, and I still name it as a person who had a very big ego, huge ego. And why I say that, because everything we talk about goes back to a reply from the client saying, it's not my fault, everybody else is wrong. I'm always the right one. And my solution is the best, but nobody can see it. So in this kind of situations, I find it impossible to connect and impossible. How can I empathize with this part? It's impossible for me. But that's really a rare situation. It doesn't happen that much at all, which is good. Like Miss A said, actually coaching, I also see it as an industry where we can see a lot of hope, because yes, people want to improve themselves. People want to help somebody else to get the chance to improve. Maybe the company has an opportunity to hire a coach for their employees, so they want progress and they want to look at the future. So this is what I really appreciate. Yeah.
Thank you. And also thank you for excuse me the wrong word.
It's okay, no worries.
Not
just making a joke.
professional for the coaching. Yeah, thank you. And thank you for your answers. And I actually have more questions, but I'm also trying to look at our audience here. Oh, already cannot wait. Okay, great. But I think Paul is the first one.
So
Yeah.
what you say is very interesting, and I've been very interested in coaching for a number of years, and I've done NLP for 10 years, and I never really wanted to be a coach. But I just see these words, these 4 words, and it confuses me. One is mentor, one is coach, one is psychologist, and one is consultant. And what is a coach if it's not a psychologist? Why do we have all these phrases, and why? So what really is a coach? Is it a mentor? What is it? I have no idea.
Do you want to take it?
Yeah, I'll take it and then you guys can add. Is that
Yeah,
okay?
Fine.
This is one that I have to give a lot of clarity on a lot. Traditionally, a full-on consultant is somebody who's giving advice. A coach is somebody who's asking questions. They're helping you to find your own answers instead of giving advice. Pure coaching. Okay. Mentor is somebody who's done exactly what you've done and succeeded. And then they can kind of give you advice, or they can show you the way a little bit, right? And education is somebody who's basically teaching you how to do something and leading you along as you're doing it. That would be my thing. I will say, though, that you should also understand that coaching is new as a profession, right? This hasn't been around that long. When I started studying it like 15 years ago, it was pretty brand spanking new. Okay. It really, we're talking 20 to 30 years as a profession at the most. And because of that, things are transforming. And now what you see is a lot of people who are more like coach sultants. That's what I call them. I, to be honest, I'm more of
I
a
like
coach
that.
sultant.
Yeah.
I am. I tell my clients that I have a degree in psychology. A psychologist, that's the other one. They work with people who have more actual psychological disorders, things that need a deeper level. And as coaches, we are all trained that if we see somebody who is at that level, we have to make sure that they see the right people, not us. We cannot do that. That is not our realm. Because I have a degree in psychology, I throw in some psychological techniques, not actual therapy, but psychological techniques. I do a little bit of coaching. And then sometimes when necessary, I ask and I say, can I give you some consulting on this? And then I consult. I think most of us do that these days. Right.
Yeah. I would add, if it's okay, just a couple of things, because I thought you did everything you said. I'm like, yep. So that's good. We trained in two totally different places, so it's good. It's consistent. Psychology tends to look to the past. Coaching is very forward focused. We're very interested in, I'm awesome today and I want to be really awesome tomorrow. So that's where coaching focuses on. If you want to start unpacking a lot of the past, you're starting to dip into psychology. So we stay forward focused. We do look at trends from the past, things like unconscious biases, things that might be under the surface of your iceberg, but we try to keep you forward focused. So that's one thing I would add.
Great.
And I think I've forgotten the other thing. So I'll come back to it if I remember it.
I also want to add something. Yep. All of that. And then what we usually do is also, one of the first expressions I remember when I started my coaching journey was be a sounding board. So what the client says, you listen, and then you kind of repeat back, because sometimes, when we talk, blah, 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 we sometimes don't pay attention to some words. And then the coach goes and says, but you said, I would like to quit so many times, 7 times so far in the past 10 minutes. Why is that? And then you go, really? I really said that 7 times? So this is where actually the people are surprised by something they said it. They didn't even realize what they are saying. So this is what we actually also can focus on, just reverting back and using their language, not putting our own interpretation like, oh, I think you hate your job because you always say, I want to quit. No, just give them what they're saying, just give it back and then see where they go from there. Yeah.
Okay.
Now is the time for, no.